In case you were curious, holiday anxiety is pretty common among the general populace, but it's a lot more prevalent in people experiencing chronic pain. There are some ways to decrease the impact it has on our pain and our days with our families. Let's get into it. From cranberry sauce and turkey, cornucopias and festive gourds, to pine trees and tinsel, Christmas ham and elves on shelves, holidays have a lot of festive spirit and delicious food. But those of us that have chronic pain, holidays can cause some real stress. It can increase our pain and worsen feelings of isolation and depression. We have the normal things to deal with: hectic schedules, shopping for presents, figuring out who's hosting and or what foods we're bringing. But we also have the anxiety of traveling on days that our bodies don't want us to get out of bed, buying presents on a shoestring budget with what little money our medical bills have left over, and finding foods that we can eat without getting sick. We look back on the year with thanks that we got through it, but grieving for all the time we spent alone and in pain when we deserve to have been out there living. And that's to say nothing of dealing with unsupportive relatives that don't understand chronic pain and might actively shame us for what we can't control. It's a time for celebration, but it can be extremely isolating. Chronic pain reveals a lot in people. Over time, some people get tired of their loved ones struggling in front of them and distance themselves. Or they tend to grow through the situation and become accustomed and accept that chronic pain is now part of their family member's life and therefore their life. Because so many friends and family members can drift out of our lives, being ill makes it difficult to make new connections. So we feel the absences deeply, and holidays make that lack more apparent. While it may feel more natural to keep to yourself and withdraw, reaching out to someone in your support system can be helpful. And if you don't have someone, online chronic pain support groups can be helpful. Though they may have vastly different diagnoses and histories, they all share pain and they know the isolation that comes with it. Just venting and knowing someone is bearing witness to your struggle can be cathartic, and real bonds can be formed over time. One thing is certain: it's easier to handle added stress when you aren't alone. Even after years and years of pain, we're still wired to be social creatures, and being isolated, especially during the holidays, it exacerbates our stress and therefore our illnesses. Now let's talk logistics. Sometimes family wants to come to your house and have you host. If after a careful inventory of your energy stores, and if you're comfortable with people seeing your house, because messiness is common with chronic pain, it happens, it's hard to keep up, you need to decide if it's acceptable to you. If it will increase your stress and your pain because you have to clean up quite a bit to the point that it makes your illness worse, it may not be reasonable for them to come. You can only do what you can do, and it's not logical for your health to suffer for a day or two of festivities. And while we know this, others may not be as understanding. The best thing we can do is be clear and set boundaries. And if you feel like it, explain your reasoning. Just be honest. Whether they accept it or not, you can only control yourself. Taking care of your health is responsible. And as someone with chronic pain, I've realized it has to be the first priority or everything else just unravels. Now, if family wants you to travel a great distance, you need to do a similar inventory. Will this make your illness worse to a degree that it's difficult to manage? Will the pain be bad enough that you can't function for a few days or sleep at night? Is it a reasonable distance if you take precautionary measures, like using heat or ice on the trip? Making use of prescribed breakthrough medication could help, or breaking up the trip over multiple days so you don't have to stay in a restricted space for long periods of time. Maybe you could stay with the hosting relative for a night or several nights so you can recover before making the trip home. I experienced years where I couldn't attend the extended family Christmas because it was a 6-hour drive in one day and my back could not handle that. We didn't have the option of staying there overnight. And because there was no middle ground to find, I decided that it wasn't something that made sense for my health. It caused some pain for my family because they felt it was incomplete without me being there. But I knew I would be writing a check my body could not cash. And I'd be in more pain than I was prepared to take on, than I could handle. I knew my body well enough by then to know the repercussions, so I could advocate for myself and stand firm despite familiar pressure, however well-meaning it was. All of these factors come into play when deciding who gets visited on the day, who might come a few days before or after, and who gets a phone call, who gets priority for next year, and then also who you'll see at other get-togethers, but you won't make a trip through the Ozarks in a blizzard for. You can't be in multiple places at once. And with chronic pain, trying to bite off more than you can chew leads to such real physical consequences that it's best not to go down that road at all. If you're trying to do 100 things to get ready for the holidays, I'd like you to try a technique I picked up in Kansas from Dr. Lemons, a granddaddy in behavioral psychology. Pace and space. When you have a million things to do and running through your mind, it can be really hard to take a break. 9 out of 10 people with chronic pain are estimated to be type A personalities, which means we're hardwired to go, 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 and not stop until we're done, even if it kills us, especially if it kills us, because that means it's really important. But we all know what comes after that kind of activity level, the crash. It may be hours, it may be days, or weeks, but we'll be out of commission because we pushed too hard and ignored our bodies when they said, stop, please, because we're hardwired to go, go, go. And often it's drilled into us from a young age. You don't get to stop your chores in the middle of them. No, you get them done now, young lady. But as counterintuitive as it seems, it's often easier to finish a lot of projects or a few big ones if you pace in space. What I mean by this is simply take a time out somewhere between 2 and 10 minutes to sit and relax, to consciously unclench and just let your body calm down. A lot of activity means a lot of stimulation. And us chronic pain people, we're more sensitive to these changes than the average Joe. So lowering that level is really, really important in our pain not getting out of hand. I keep hearing from people who use this technique, so I know it's not just me, but we often get things done sooner and faster if we take breaks. It's because we let ourselves rest. We're not having to work as slowly when we get back to it. Like I said, it's a little counterintuitive, but once you understand the stress cycle, which I promise I will cover in a video one glorious day, it makes a lot more sense. I know it's hard, it goes against our nature, but give it a try because it could make a huge difference. Healthcare. In the United States, our healthcare system leaves a lot to be desired. Many things are only met if we've already been wrung out financially for as much money as possible. Some things are seen as unnecessary to the companies and they will never be covered. Between the cost of appointments with specialists, medications, and things like therapy, physical therapy, medical tests, and even hospital stays or surgeries, we often don't have a lot of money left to do with as we please. For cash-strapped holidays, there are a variety of ways we can go. Some ideas are to lean into the interests of the gift recipient. Do they like fishing and you're well enough to go one day? Plan a fishing trip at some uncertain point in the future when you're doing, solidly well, and tell them with a card and a new fishing bobber. If they're a huge Marvel fan, plan to have a movie marathon leading up to the next theater release. I had to wear sunglasses and sound-canceling headphones for a few years in theaters, and some years I was too sensitized to go at all. But even just pre-gaming a new release would be a cool experience that you can share. If you cook and you know that they adore one of your recipes in particular, write it out nicely and let them know that they are entitled to a pan of manicotti or sausage loaf at their convenience. If you're a crocheter or a knitter, hats and mittens and little crocheted figures are less expensive than many gifts, and knowing that you put the time and effort into them can also be a cool sentiment for the recipient. If all else fails, get together with some like-minded family members and lobby for a Secret Santa year. Just one gift. It's a lot easier. Finally, if these don't seem like a good fit, there's nothing wrong with saying up front, I don't have expendable money this year. Letting people know gives them time to process, to either decide they won't be getting you a present, or to know that they just won't be getting one in return. How they react is up to them, and you can't control them or their reactions. All you can do is be honest with yourself and with them, and do the best you can. Expecting anything else on their part is not logical. I think that's the main takeaway for this video. We're strong people to experience the pain that we do on a daily basis and to endure. But we shouldn't have to suffer to make others' lives easier, and we don't have to. By being clear, setting boundaries, and sticking to them, even when it's really hard and there's a lot of guilt and pressure, we can make the holidays easier on ourselves and less distressing. We can only do our best, and we will, but anything more than that isn't reasonable to expect, whether it's others making us feel small or us shaming ourselves, thinking we should somehow magically be able to do more. The advice I used to get from my mom holds true here, everywhere. Treat yourself the way you would treat a friend in the same situation. If they deserve kindness and understanding in this circumstance, so do you. You are not less worthy of care and compassion because of your health. If anything, people should appreciate how hard you fight to see them and to make memories with them. While there will always be family members who simply don't understand, hey, I get it, and I know how hard it is. Just do what you can in a way that will give you the least regrets when you look back. It's all we can do. On that note, I hope you're able to enjoy the holiday season, that Thanksgiving results in a lot of food and laughter, and that Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or Friendsmas are times of togetherness where you can make some great memories. Be safe on any travels you embark on. Know that you are not alone if you're staying home cozy like John and I are this year. And I hope you have the least pain necessary, the highest quality of life possible for you, and a great day. Stay curious. Toodaloo.